Kate Hudson. Thank you so much for being here. Have you seen that reel?
I did.
It's so good.
I love when people do that. You're always like, oh my God, you see everything all together. And
yeah, every 5 seconds I was like, oh, I love that one. That one too. Thank you so much for being here. This is actually an audience of your fellow SAG-AFTRA actors.
yes.
So I always like to start by asking, how did you get your SAG card? What was the job that brought that
Oh
very
my
special
God.
card to you?
The SAG card for me was Party of Five.
I love that show.
It was Party of Five. Yeah. And it was my first job. And I had like one little scene, like I write 2 little scenes, and it was my first speaking role. And yeah.
Tell them to put that in the reel so I can go, oh, I love that. Along with everything else.
It was so small, nobody would. But it was very exciting because I was 16, so Party of Five, of course, was like I was obsessed with the show.
Oh yeah.
So
no, I just randomly saw Scott Wolf at an event last night, and I
oh my God, Scott Wolf.
Yeah,
I didn't get to work with him.
Me had a total freak out.
Yeah, it's like Nev and Michael Gorgon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
and fantastic cast. So, obviously, growing up, acting was a big part of your life, coming from, your family. But when did you first start thinking about it as a career, or did you have like this early rebellion, like you were going to do something different?
No. I think I knew that I wanted to perform before like I really even understood what my parents did. Like I think it's just, I mean, maybe not everybody has that, but for me it was just like there was no question. Like in my whole life, if someone was like, "What are you going to do?" It's like, "Oh, sing, dance, act." Like I just, that was just what I was gonna do, So I didn't. For me, it was the opposite. Like, oh, there's other things you can do, but I think it was really like in my DNA,
Mm-hmm.
without knowing or being able to intellectualize. Like, oh, this is what my parents do for a living, And then when I started to go on movie sets, obviously I grew up on movie sets, but I guess that's another thing. Sometimes people think that because you grow up in it, that you're seeing like this sort of glamorous, like performance oriented thing. But on movie sets, they're so boring. It's like you grow up like in the makeup trailer, and like with a lot of quiet time. Except on Big Trouble in Little China. Very different. Yeah, so I think that when I started to really like grow up on sets, I got very fascinated with how movies are made more than being in front of the camera. I got really obsessed with the camera department and wardrobe. I love working in the wardrobe department. My parents always made us if we were going to hang on set, we had to have a job. So we either had to run or we had to work in a department. And so I just fell in love with film, like the circus, and I think when you fall in love with the circus, like there's kind of no other better place to be.
Yeah.
So the performance part was always there, but really falling in love with the crew, like the set, was probably about, I'd say 12. I was like, there's no other place I want to be.
What was it like the first time you actually acted in front of a camera? Because being on set and being in front of the camera are 2 such different things, but maybe you were more prepared than most.
Oh, I don't think you're ever prepared for that first. It was Party of Five, yeah. No, I was as nervous, I think, as anybody. I was excited, but I also like wanted to deliver. And I think where it was different for me was I actually grew up knowing it's like how important the job was. Like in my mind, it was like this is like this is my job. So I never would want to let anybody down. But I was very nervous, but then something happens. Like you first take, I did my first take, and then I was like, okay, let's go, and even though all those people were on that, it's very hard coming into like a show where everybody loves and knows each other so well. They were so great. Everybody was so great on that show. I felt very comfortable, and they were very like warm. And
Yeah, I've heard some actors say that they feel it's harder to come in and do like two lines on an existing show than to be a regular because there's so much
Oh,
already there.
oh yeah, and like especially like when you're doing a really heavy scene with someone, and you've got two lines, and like it's like talk about the pressure.
Yeah.
Like I better not fuck this up, or else like I'm gonna be that person. Um, and yeah, no, I definitely I can see that. I also see it the other way around, which is for me, it's like whenever someone comes in and there's nothing more powerful to me than when someone comes in, has not been a part of the cast and crew, has like 1 or 2 days, and is just stellar.
Yeah.
They always like really stand out. It's really impressive.
Do you think about their responsibility as first on the call sheet for Running Point, but also a producer of
Yeah.
when new actors come in, like sort of setting the tone or the atmosphere?
Yeah, I do. I do because I've been on so many that have been so chaotic.
Mhm.
And I think that you get to a certain age and have a little bit of enough experience to be like, what demands a set for people to like not only be responsible but be like, kind to each other and to really have a good time. And because as much as it is important and is a job, like we are making movies and shows, like we should be having a good time. And it just takes that one bad seed, to kind of make everybody go, oh, what a nightmare. It's like, so yeah, I do find responsibility in that. And also like I guess because I grew up in it, it is like I've seen so many intense egos and how they make the experience so impossible and uncomfortable for people. And I don't like that. It's like power stuff, It's like I'm gonna make this person feel real small. And I've seen it in action, and like I just think it's so awful. And but then I like as I got older, I'd be like, I'm gonna let this ego go. I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna let them have the ego. I'm gonna go sit down. I'm gonna read my book and
Yeah.
just wait for this to pass, and waste everybody's time and money, but let them do it. And then you realize, like, when you start to behave that way, whereas you don't hook in, then the set starts to change and that person starts to change, and because they realize they're just wasting people's time. And so it's kind of how I lead.
Yeah.
I just like let people have their moments, and then it passes. And then they realize they're not getting the response that they want,
Mhm. Which is the worst thing you can do.
Oh,
to someone like
it's
that.
like a relationship, Don't hook in.
It's funny because I'm thinking about how this sort of reflects what happens in season 1 of Running Point with the Chet Hanks character.
Yeah,
like that's
right.
That's sort of what she does. She's like,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
let it go,
yeah.
let them talk, like it'll pass.
And it does. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen the first season, but come on, also everyone's seen the first season. Obviously, I don't think your family like ever sat you down and gave you like advice per se, but were there things that how did they feel about you wanting to become an actor, knowing how tough the business is?
Well, I think Kurt had the best advice when I was really young, which was like, why do you want to do it? Like, do you really love it? Or, if I told you you were going to be doing community theater your whole life, would you still want to do it? And it was like, what kind of dumb question is that? Like, yes, well, he's like, then you're in the right business, because it's hard, and it's a roller coaster. But I think that's also like why part of what makes us all kind of a little crazy. It's like we love it. We get addicted to the roller coaster. It's like, yeah. So I there was no question for me that's really like that's what I wanted to do. And I think the thing that what was good for me to understand was like the art versus the business, which that's where I think I've been able to kind of have a better understanding of art and commerce, like it's hard to get a movie made. I understood the like inside, it's like inside baseball. I understood like it's not easy to get a job. It's not easy to make a movie. One good movie, there's no shame in making one good movie. Like, and then also it's really important to love something other than it, so that when it's not going so well, or if it's not in that month, that you can always love it, and that you can also like make a living doing something else. And so because I had that growing up, I feel like that was really the leg up I felt like I had, was that I understood it from a different lens. Yeah.
I just think it would be hypocritical if they were like, no child of mine is going to be an actor.
Well, it depends on why you want it. I think that's why it's like, because you can see it on the outside and you'd be like, this is all really fun. Like, my parents have a great life, and we were very privileged, even though for some reason it was like they were stricter than any other parent that I knew. Oh yeah, it was awful. I was like, are we supposed to be living this fabulous life? Nope. Go to coach. Like they were not like very, they weren't overindulgent parents.
Yeah.
But they love storytelling. They love this industry, and like we grew up watching really like that's what it's about. Why do we tell stories? Why do we love to tell stories? What it is so important to understand your character. Like Kurt is so amazing. Like I got like the greatest role model as an actor. The seriousness in which he takes not only his character, but his character as it affects the story. The work he does before he gets onto any set, with himself, with his wardrobe, with his hair and makeup, with his director, with his writers, like he's so engaged, and it's magic, and if you love it and you watch it, you're like, oh my God, that's all I want to do, so I had a real great teacher in my dad and Kurt. And he loves it. All his kids love it, I think it's like, why wouldn't you want to? If you could make a living at it, it's the best living in the world. If not, it's hard, and it's even hard when you can make a living in it. It's a weird one. It's a weird industry, but if you got the bug, if you're born with the bug, it doesn't go away.
It's funny too, because like I just happen to come from a small town that had an amazing community theater.
Yes.
So whenever people say that, I'm like, I would love to just do community theater for the rest of my life.
I mean, I don't care where. Like people always say, singing or acting, or whatever. If I see a stage, I don't care where it is. Like it could be a tiny little stage. There could be nobody around, and someone was like, want to do improv? I'd be like, yes, I do. Do you want to sing? I'm like, yeah.
Well, you have a mic and a stage.
Yes. But it's just a thing, It's like, I went back, my kids are going to the school I went to, and I walk into the theater like I grew up doing stuff, and I was just like, it's still like, if they were like, if the kids were in there, I'd want to like get up there with the kids. If you love it, you love it.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. And you can tell when people are in it for the wrong reason.
Oh, yeah. Have you ever actually thought about doing theater, like live theater, Broadway?
Oh, yeah.
Or something?
Oh, yeah. Of course. Oh, yeah. Definitely. The real issue is I've been having children my entire adult life. Like, I left high school. I started work. I got really lucky, really young, had a career, had a baby. Like, it was like 23, mommy. And any opportunity I've had, it takes you away for like a year. And it's hard when you have young kids, and I'm just now getting out of having like my daughter's 6. So, I mean, I have been having kids. I've had a young child, for 20 years. So I think now when I get older, I'll have the time and I won't feel as guilty.
Amazing. You mentioned, right out of the gate, you had a lot of success with Almost Famous. In 2001, obviously. I literally watched it last night, and I'm like,
Did you really?
I did, literally.
Have you never seen it?
No, I've seen it. I literally haven't seen it since it came out, because some things are so crystallized in your memory, you kind of don't want to mess.
How did it hold up?
It holds up. Like it was kind of eerily prescient.
Isn't that cool?
About something. When was the last time you watched it?
With my teenage son, not that long ago.
Wow.
Like a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, every time it still resonates.
Yep.
Like even for him, you know, and he's 13, and it was like, it just like hits someone in the way, exactly the way
Yeah.
it's supposed to hit them. But yeah,
It's so
Cameron's
weird.
just,
Like as a grown woman, I mean, I guess technically 25 years ago I was a grown woman, but like it just hits so differently.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I heard that originally, you went in and auditioned for a completely different role. Is that true?
Yeah, I was supposed to play. I auditioned and then got the part of the Zoe Deschanel, the sister, and then everybody fell out, and then then it was Brad Pitt and Sarah Polley was playing Penny Lane. Brad Russell Hammond. That fell through. And I was like the only one cast, which was like, oh my God. And Cameron called me and he's like, please don't leave me. And I was like, are you kidding? Then I got a big part, and I didn't know if he was going to make the movie. I didn't know and I got this really big part, and everybody was kind of pushing me to be like, you might have to do this, but you should go do this big part. And I was like,
Oh, in a different film.
Oh. And I was like, I can't. It's Cameron Crowe. Like I'm too obsessed. I love him too much. I'm not leaving. No. And then I called him. I was like, can I please audition for Penny Lane? And yeah, and then that went through a whole thing of like 4 auditions, and finally, casting director Gail was like, Cameron, stop! Don't put her through this anymore. That's your Penny Lane. So that was it was a process.
Wow.
And so much fun.
I'm curious because you were still fairly new to the business at this point. How were you at auditioning? Was it something you felt comfortable with? Do you ever feel comfortable with it?
You know, I just got like actually clinically diagnosed with ADD, which
Really?
oh yeah, of course. I mean, like most artists.
Yeah.
I was like, God, why has it been so hard to read scripts my whole life? You know. People are like, read the script. I'm like, it's not that easy. And then it's like, and then I'm going to go to this. And then it's like that, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so auditioning. Awful for me in the sense that I was always procrastinating. I'd always lose everything. Then I'd be in my car. I'd be there right before. Thank God I can memorize things like that. You know, I have that brain. I lose it right after, but I can memorize it really fast. So I'd go and I'd like audition, and I always felt confident in the audition, even when I didn't feel as prepared as I did. But the thing that I learned from the auditioning process is like preparation. So I'm saying to my son right now at 21 years old, I'm like, be prepared. It's like the biggest thing. This is where you're going to learn like the best tools in your careers in the auditioning process, and love your casting directors because they're the best and they're your cheerleaders. And but I what was your question?
Oh, just you were good at auditioning.
Oh yeah, I mean I got parts. Yeah, so I did something right. But I was like I like working with people. I like working with people. I like, I think auditions are the most important thing. I really don't like this new thing that they're doing with kids, with taping kids. Like, get in the room with the kids, work with those kids. Like, I think if I was taping now and that's what I was doing, I don't think I'd have the same career, because when you get in a room and you work with someone, they see how you work. It's like so different than just watching them on an iPhone. You get to talk to them, you get to see their personalities, you get to like engage with them. And so I think there's a lot of missed opportunity happening with kids right now. Like, I know some kids are having a really hard time, and I'm like, God darn it, if they were like in the room, they'd get every part.
Yeah.
So yeah. But if I was doing it now, I'd be so awful. But
I mean, actually, if you don't mind, when was the last time you auditioned for something? I imagine it's been a long
time.
I
audition all the time.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. What was that audition? If I love something, and they're like, I don't know. I mean, I get a lot of I don't knows. I'll get in a room anytime. I think it's Glass Onion. Audition for, of course. Yes. There was like a couple girls. He really wanted to read everybody, and I was like, down, let's go, you know. Yeah, because it's Ryan Johnson, and I know what it's like you could be an amazing actor, have an amazing career, and someone just go, I don't know if they're right. It's not like a personal thing. Um, and yeah, I think
That just surprises me because it's like the most perfect casting. The whole ensemble is like,
yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if I think we worked together in a room. It's like Ryan and I got to like explore Birdie together.
yeah,
And then we got to continue to explore. But like, if we didn't have that experience, then I don't know if he would have seen something that would have made him go like, she's perfect, But I was like, oh my god, I gotta play Birdie. And yeah, and I think I don't know. I think we're always. I think you should never. There's moments where you're like, I'm not auditioning for that. I love you, but I'm not. Then it's like I don't even know if I want to do it. If someone was like, this is a romantic comedy, and we don't know that really the director's done 2 movies, I'd probably be like, I don't think I should audition for this movie.
they're probably.
I feel like they could look
type,
I feel like they could look and see, and if I'm either right or I'm not, But there's certain times where you're like, yeah, put your hat in the ring.
Well, and also in some ways you're sort of auditioning the director if you want to work with them.
Yeah. If I'm going in the room at this point in my career, like I wanna work with that director, and it's all about the director. I think the one thing, like, of all the failures, of all the successes, of all the things, the choices that I've made that I'm the only person responsible for, it always comes down to script and vision and director. You're only really, and they say you're only as good as the actor you're working with, and that is absolutely correct. But the second they get in that editing room and you're home and gone, like, it just doesn't matter anymore. It's all about working with wonderful people and talented people, and so that's always what if yeah.
I mean, I imagine working with Cameron Crowe at a young age too, like, kind of spoiled you in some ways. He's so amazing.
Yeah, I got really spoiled with a lot of amazing directors, like Robert Altman, so young, Robert Altman, Cameron Crowe, Rob Reiner, and not, by the way, Gary Marshall, like, not all were like huge successes, or Almost Famous wasn't a huge success. It was a huge critical success, but but I've been so lucky, to actually like learn. I've also been really lucky to witness great filmmaking as like a kid like, I'll never forget watching Ron Howard direct Backdraft, and he was so wonderful, like every step of the way. Talk about leadership, and it just like imprinted on me, like when I direct, like the kind of person I want to be behind that camera, with the team and with your actors and stuff. So it's like I've gotten to see such amazing art, being made, like be a witness to it. It's pretty cool.
I was actually going to ask, like, what do you hope for from a director when you show up to sets? What's the dream that they'll be?
I mean, knowing they're.
We have our own theme song.
Got it. What is that?
I know. I'm like, I thought it would be a song I recognized.
I think it is a song I recognize.
What do you hope for from a director?
To know what they're doing. I mean, I've worked with guys where I'm like, what's happening? Like, what are we doing? And then you get like, some people are like, I don't do shooting sketch, like I don't do, and you're like, wow. I mean, don't you want a little bit of a framework? Like, don't you want some kind of storyboarding? Like, don't you want some organization? Nah, I love the chaos, and you're like, this is gonna be a disaster. At some point, you're gonna be like, here we go. We lost the light. They don't know their movie. They don't know their shot, and you're like, you see it all the time, and in certain types of directors. And I love a prepared director, and I think the best directors I've ever worked with are incredibly prepared and they know their story so well. They act so fast on their feet, and you never feel like they don't have your back. I also love directors that um, that take in notes without feeling like they know their story so well, also that they know when they get a good note, and they know when they get a note they're probably not going to pursue, but they still listen.
Yeah.
I think I love that. Like, they take everything in. They hire everyone around them because they know they're going to give them the best option, and they trust in their talent. And I see that with directors, with their production designers and their DPs and their actors. And so I love it. And I can now I see it immediately.
Yeah.
You see it when they really know their work. They know what they're doing.
I would be wary of any director who wanted to be the smartest person in the room. I love people who surround themselves with talented people and don't get defensive about suggestions.
Yeah, I mean, some directors maybe are the smart. You know what I mean? Like but I don't know. Usually like I said, in my experience, like the best ones they're just so available to hearing what the people around them are, what they want to express, or what their ideas are. So
it's funny because you mentioned that Almost Famous was not like the hugest box office hit at the time, and I think people forget that because it's become so iconic in our memories. And again, rewatching it the other day, coming up on almost 25 years, it was so ahead of its time.
So crazy.
What do you think is sort of the secret to the enduring appeal of that film?
Of Almost Famous?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things, but I think there's an innocence. First of all, the nostalgia. I think we long for the simplicity of times that were what we think were less complicated. Instead, but of course, I think if you lived through it, they were less complicated in some ways, but also just as complicated. But the nostalgia of it, I think the freedom in that movie, like the getting lost in a world and of like loving something so much, and who doesn't feel more connected. Like I think music, there's a couple things that are like the most important things that connect people all over the world, and to me music is like number one. Like, it doesn't matter what you believe, where you come from, how much money you make, what, like, you can connect with the same song. You can have as powerful of an experience as someone that you might feel completely different, like have completely different opinions about in life, or cultural differences, and music brings us together. So like, then you have this movie that is about loving that, and so how can it not resonate? Then you have like all the fun stuff, like drugs, rock and roll, love, like connection, so, feel things that people experience where, like, self-worth. Like, there's so much in that movie that is like beautiful, but then it really at the end of the day, it's like you have these experiences in your life and then you move on. It's like these moments, it's just so well done.
Yeah.
It's like these people have this moment, and then it's just, they all go off and they're different things. It's like, so there's so much, I don't know, magic in that.
And who doesn't love a good Elton John sing-along?
Yeah, well, that song wasn't even, that song wasn't even one of Elton's biggest songs. Actually, Almost Famous, which I didn't even know, but Almost Famous really was like, put that song kind of, for those, like, in terms of like pop culture, that really wasn't one of Elton's like most known songs.
It was nice of you to
kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like me. It's all Cameron. But yeah. Yeah, I remember Elton. I think Elton even said, that song wasn't even on. He's like, that was great.
But do people?
Who is the greatest human being?
Yes. Really?
Of all? Oh my God, Elton John. Yeah, like the greatest.
Do people expect you to karaoke that song though? If you, I don't know if you go to karaoke, but I would be like, oh, well,
You
you
know,
got
I
it.
feel so lucky because I feel like I was talking about this with Ed Norton on Glass Onion. I'm gonna name drop. And Ed and I were saying, like, isn't it cool that we're in movies that these amazing songs also become synonymous with the movie? Like You're So Vain, you know, I like in How to Lose a Guy, if I people always want me to sing the song, they're always like, You're So Vain, and like sing it to me. Tiny Dancer, and then he gets the Pixies, like Where Is My Mind from Fight Club. I was like, I mean, you know, so
Yeah.
it's rare that you get the song with the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just feel really lucky
That's
that
really cool.
you know the studio paid to be able to have those songs in the movies that I was in. You know.
I mean, you just brought up How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, and this is such a yep, this is an incredibly beloved movie. Your co-star in that film, Matthew McConaughey, once told me that.
Who?
Yeah, some guy from Texas. Whatever happened to him? He said that he thinks rom-coms are the hardest genre to pull off because, for one, the audience knows the outcome, but you have to also make it keep it light and make it bounce along. And you know you've done so many good ones. I'm sort of curious, like what you love about that genre.
Well, I love rom-com, like the great rom-coms. I think they become the classic movies, the ones that we go back to all the time. If you think about like what are the great rom-coms, they sort of continue to have they continue to have like a come into themselves again generation after generation, which is wild. It's like when like a 14-year-old came up to me and I thought it was going to be about Glass Onion during Glass Onion, but it was How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I was like, what? You know, it's pretty cool. And I think it's because it hits on all of the things that we, you know, long for and need. And if they're done right, they're really well written. And I think we're because we're not making those like $40 million movies anymore where you could actually really invest in like the really good writing and get good talent and make it an event, and you could really like really massage it to make it something great.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not being produced as much. They sort of get watered down, or they're not as interesting of ideas. You're not getting that kind of writing talent. And if you're not investing the money in them, then you're probably not going to get the result unless you're very lucky with like young talent and, you know, great director and all that stuff. But when in fact, I think we should be investing more money in movies like that, because I think I don't know why it's always been that way, but you know, there's a huge place for these for men and women. And I think How to Lose a Guy was one of those movies that's exactly what happened. It brought in every demographic, not just women. And we forget that like the great rom-coms bring in everybody. It becomes an experience you have with your partner, or experience you have with your family, and you can make those, and they're hard to pull off because you need the writing, you need the machine behind you, and you need like really good dudes.
Yeah.
And they don't like making them.
Yeah.
I think some of them do, you know, but it's really hard to get an actor who's like a big movie star to do a rom-com. It's just like, you're like, well, who are we gonna get? And you're like, well, I'm never gonna do it, you know. When in fact, I think they should be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it would be. I think it's like one of those things that I wish more of the like big movie stars would do more rom-coms.
Yeah, no, I would love to see that,
Yeah.
honestly, and see really good rom-com scripts because I know they're out there.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think sometimes you got to lean into it, and it's hard because you don't know if it's going to work, and it's scary because it's like Matthew said, it's hard to get it right, you know. But if yeah, but I believe in them, you know, and I think there are certain people like, look at Jim Brooks, man. Look what Jim Brooks did. A lot of those are rom-coms, they're dramedies, and they're about romance and family, and you know, you.
No, I'm sorry. Just think. I have to try not to cry when I think of James Brooks because of Terms of Endearment.
Yeah.
And I literally something literally came.
I know you're like, how does that rhyme?
I was like, I just need
oh, sorry, it's gonna start. No, I know. And look at like what Nora Ephron was able to do. It's just like you look, you know, like it's, and you know Nancy Myers and I don't know. Oh yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ooh. But yeah, they're hard to make.
Yes.
They're hard to make, but that's exactly the reason why we should be trying to make them great. You know what I mean?
Yep. The other reason I was thinking when you said Jim Brooks, Broadcast News is one of my favorite movies of all time.
The best.
And what that has in common with How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, iconic dresses. Like everyone wanted the yellow dress. From How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Oh my God, Broadcast News.
Yes.
My son, Bing, he literally like made a declaration the other day. He's like, I'm going to be a writer and a director. I was like, whoa. I thought you were going to be a drummer. No, I'm going to write and I'm going to direct. I was like, okay, great. We need one of those in the family. No, but he is on this kick of watching all the great movies. He's making lists of like, this is my favorite movie. He will love Broadcast News. Anyway.
I love that movie. To talk about movies, I revisit it like every few years. And that's something that I remember growing up. I was like, no, she needs to choose this guy. And being older, I'm like, God, thank God she didn't choose either of them. My God. Neither of them were worthy. I do have to know for myself. I mean, did you keep the dress from How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days?
No. I think it's in like a. Is
Museum?
it right?
They're like, I have it. Really? Where can I find this?
It is?
It's like a vintage store. They have different dresses from famous movies.
Oh,
Oh.
man. Okay. It's somewhere in a store. I have to do some recon. That is amazing. It won't be there for long.
Yeah.
At the same time, sorry, did you want to say
Nope.
at the same time, you've always seemed to do really well avoiding typecasting and then, you know, dramatic films like Marshall and Deepwater Horizon. I could literally dedicate an hour to The Skeleton Key, which is...
I love that.
Oh,
I love making
so
that movie
good.
so much.
It's so, it haunts me to this day.
It's so fun.
It's genuinely scary.
I was with Peter not that long ago and I was like, we gotta do a sequel to that movie.
I think about
that
those
would be
people.
everyone's like, do a sequel to that. I'm like, do a sequel to Skeleton Key. That would be fun. Yeah. Because they're such a good
Netflix, are you listening?
I was like, it's because it's got such a good it's easy in.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you know, I think like the second you become successful in something like a rom-com, you just immediately that's all. It's like they forget that you're an actor, like that does different things, you know, and you're like, well, this is great and I love it and I'm grateful, but like how do I just keep doing different things so that I can keep that muscle going differently. And you know, it's because like I said, like it's really hard to do a good rom-com, so you get a lot of like not great ones and you're sort of like, okay, well maybe I can make this better, or maybe we can make this, maybe we can rewrite this, or like, and then after a while you're like, why, I don't want to always do this, and I want to do the ones that are really good. And they're also really hard to make in a studio system because you know, they want to water them down because they get scared. Like I remember doing Bride Wars. It was a rated R. I produced Bride with my best friend Julie Orrin, and we started with a rated R, you know, very, very subversive movie, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
But they really were scared to make it with two girls, and so, you know, next thing you know, I'm like, it's PG-13, and I'm like, guys, I don't want to lose all these jokes, please. You know, it's hard because they're betting on it and they want to make sure they're going to make their money back, and so you kind of are constantly fighting. And it was PG. We ended up having to go PG, but we made it work. And but it's challenging. So like, it's important to not always do those. Like I had to go make movies like Marshall, and
Mhm.
thank God they wanted me to make those movies. So I got to be able to exercise different muscles.
Something I'm thinking about, like all your movies, but because I think we started talking about rom-coms, is you always have this great chemistry with your co-stars. Even like Bride Wars, you and Anne Hathaway have great
Annie's the
chemistry.
best.
Oh my gosh. I'm sort of curious. Is there any way to predict that? Like, do you feel it on the set, or sometimes it's not there, and I guess that's where acting comes in.
I love everybody. I know this sounds really weird. I mean this. Like even the most difficult people, I love them.
Yeah.
I just think everybody has a reason for their behaviors and their idiosyncrasies and their is that the yeah that's it. And I just let people be, and then I love them for who they are. I don't know, and I've worked with some really challenging people, and I'm sure I've been challenging at times, but I like people.
Yeah.
So I think I'm like the easy one maybe to get to be a co-star because like I just let people be weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think chemistry is an interesting thing. I don't know. I don't really know what makes great chemistry, but I think you know it when you meet someone immediately. Like you know when it's going to be easy, and then your hope is that it's captured. And then you know when it's going to be like, yeah, we might have to work for this a little bit. Like this might, be challenging from, but I'm always the one, I'm like the, sounds ridiculous and I shouldn't say this, but because it's going to like probably be, but like, dogs that you meet and you're like, ha ha ha, and then they surrender and they like put their little legs up. That's like me. I'm like, it's fine. Like, let's just have fun. Like, let's not get weird.
Yeah.
Only a couple times in my career has my like Aries come out where I'm like, nope, no
Really?
patience. Yeah, only a couple times. So
yeah.
I think I'm easy to maybe have chemistry because I just like am easygoing.
Thinking about
If Matthew McConaughey was here, he'd be like, sure. He'd be like, okay.
That guy is so easygoing. It's like he makes Owen Wilson look uptight. Sorry, I was trying to think of the first.
Interesting.
Yeah. Trying to think of the first easygoing person who popped into my head.
That's so funny. Owen works with him too.
You mean Dupree? That's why I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yes, I actually love that movie, especially because you shot part of it in Hawaii.
That was fun.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
Yeah. That's Matt Dillon.
Oh my God.
So great in that.
So fun.
Yeah.
And so wild. Like Matt Dillon. Like I was like, the little girl in me was like, he's my husband? I was like, wow. That happened. Check.
Do you ever have those moments? Because you've worked with so many amazing people where you're like opposite an actor and you kind of do have to say like, oh my God, I can't believe that's,
Yeah. All the time. I feel like I'm always like, I just love, I don't get intimidated in the sense of like, I get excited. I guess I get like, I can't even believe, like Jenna Rollins, like I couldn't believe it, and then I'm like, I just want to protect her. Like, I just want her to be happy, I want her to like me. Like that more, like I've had some amazing Daniel Day-Lewis, like that was like a pinch me moment.
He's okay.
Like got the best of him and Guido, like got as a method actor, like of course I'm so happy I got the movie where he was like in love with women.
Yeah.
Like,
and the best song
God.
in the movie.
So Cinema Italiano.
Yes. Oh, I love that song.
Yeah, I've been really lucky.
I mean, since you invoked 9, I was thinking, talk about range. You've got to do things like Glee and music. And then you released your debut album last year, Glorious. Is that something you've been wanting to do?
Yeah, thanks. Yes, big time. That was like my first love. I mean, I think it's like when I say performing, singing, dancing, like that was like part of it, and I remember watching musicals like Meet Me in St. Louis was like, I remember watching Judy Garland. I was like, oh my God, this is what I'm gonna do in my life. And um, yeah, and then I got like into my teenage years, and then it turned into like emo, like Pearl Jam and Nirvana and like 90s hip hop, and I just got like fully into playing the piano and writing music, and I had all those like great 90s female rocks like Sheryl Crow, and it's just, then it was like, oh, I have to make music, and we'll see what happens. Like, make music, dance, perform. That's just what I. But writing music is like that's my happy place, and writing in general, writing. But I got freaked out. I was like, I got really like famous young. So at that time, you become famous as an actor, like you don't switch. There's no like, okay, now I'm gonna go and put my album out. And I was like, oh my God, if it fails, then it all fails. And it's like, don't break what's not broken. So then it just started this thing of like, I guess I'm never gonna put my music out in the world. And then you get older and you get scared, or you're like, oh no, I'm really scared. And then COVID happened, and I was just like, I can't not do it. If I don't do it, it's like a test to myself. It's almost like, what's wrong with me that I'm so scared to like put my words out into the world? Like I can't, who cares? Like I just have to do it. And if people don't like it, and they don't like it, they don't like it, and I guess I wasn't prepared for rejection of my music until I was in my 40s. So I did it. And I was like, okay, I'm prepared for rejection. And it's been amazing. Yeah. Honestly, it's like changed my life. And like personally, like there's like a calm happened when I just put it out. It was like, oh, I did it. And then now I just go get to play music, and it's like my happy place, and it's great.
Did you do another musical with Hugh Jackman that's coming out this year, or is it?
It's a biopic, but yeah, we play. Yeah. Oh, Hugh Jackman, the greatest human being on the planet. Yeah, we did a biopic about this couple that was a Neil Diamond tribute band. And it's a great story. It's a really beautiful love story.
It's a true story?
Yeah.
I didn't realize this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really fun. And we got to sing all the Neil Diamond music, It's like Forever in Blue Jeans and, Sweet Caroline. And it was really fun to delve into, to fall in love with Neil Diamond. I never fell in love with Neil Diamond until I started this movie. And you realize like his work is just prolific and it feels good. Neil Diamond feels good, and the movie feels good. So it's like gives you this feel. It's very inspiring, and so yeah. So I got to sing with you.
Ooh. Song Sung Blue, I think it's called.
Song Sung Blue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That's when I heard it, I was like, what a great idea for a movie, and then I had no idea it was a true story.
Yeah. It's a true story, and it's a wild one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Will there be a soundtrack to that one, I presume?
Yeah, Neil Diamond.
Yeah,
right. I guess. I mean, I don't know. I'm not on the inside of that one. But I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you get to sing Heartlight?
No.
Oh. Does Hugh? Maybe.
No.
That's it. I'm out. You mentioned writing and how much you enjoy it, and I know you've authored some books, and you also co-hosted with your brother Oliver the Sibling Revelry.
Yeah, our podcast. That's really fun.
You talked about having interests outside of just acting as other business ventures. Does that sort of help you to be more selective with your roles, or is it more just about you being good at so many things?
No, I think I'm well. First of all, again, I'm an Aries and ADD, so I can't do one thing. Like I have a million things, that I want to do. But really, I think entrepreneurial type of things, I wanted to be home and I wanted to be with my kids And I knew that if I was working and making movies and traveling all over, it would be really hard. And I had touring partners. So, you know, this is where the sort of difference between, I think, men and women sometimes comes into play, which is like, I wanted to be home for my kids. And what does that mean? It's like I could only do projects that were like 3 weeks or like a month at the most, and I could come home. And there was just a period of time where it was like, you know, it was a mix of I can't do that because it would take me too far away, to I'm not getting the jobs that, you know, I'd want to be doing at that time. And so I'm not going to just say yes. So what else can I be doing? And I just was lucky enough to bet on myself in the sense of like, I know I could be doing endorsements, but I had this idea, and with you know, another company, and we started this business, and then it just took my life into business for a good decade. Which was I had a big learning curve and learned, you know, the world of, oh gosh, fashion and turnover and, you know, everything we were doing in that business. And it took it was about 10 years, had great success. And about like 6-7 years in, I was like, oh, I love being creative when it comes to anything, but like day-to-day operational business, it's like, that's not my life. This is wonderful, and I enjoy like learning new things, but this idea of like being a CEO is like, not for me. You know, I don't want to be a CEO. I'm not an operational, administrative type of person. So I kind of like started to like, okay, like we're doing good. I'm gonna go over here, and I start other things. I still like dabble. I love starting businesses. Like I think there's a lot of fun stuff to be done, but I think there's a lot of people who are better at running those things than I will ever be. So, and I wanted to focus on the arts.
Yeah. You kind of get to do both in Running Point, because she's sort of playing a CEO.
Yeah.
I love this show so much, and I don't know a thing about basketball.
You don't?
No. Well, I mean, I know what dribble means. That's about the extent of my knowledge. And so, you know, I didn't know this show would be for me, but it speaks to me on so many levels. Were you a basketball fan?
I'm a big sports fan.
Okay.
Yeah, I love all sports. I'm trying to think if there's a sport that I like don't. And you know what, I've never done a full cricket match, which I've always been like, it's a real commitment. It's like, like 3 days.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love sports. Basketball, I'd say, is like third for me. I think it goes, for me, it's football, baseball, basketball. And I knew Jeannie Buss from when I was really young.
Yeah.
I'd met her. She was running the Forum Club. We were big hockey. Oh, hockey. Oh, the hockey's there in there.
Yeah.
Hockey is.
Didn't your brother play
baseball, hockey? Yeah. Wyatt.
Yeah.
Actually, both my brothers played hockey. Ollie was a really good hockey player too. Wyatt just was better. I went pro, not NHL, but he went to Europe and played in Europe stuff. Yeah, so hockey was where I met Jeannie, because it was like the golden years, Gretzky years of the Los Angeles Kings, and my dad, we were big hockey fans. And so I met Jeannie Buss. She's running the Forum, and I got to know her a little bit during that time, but I was really young, and was running that place, you know.
Yeah.
But now, you know, we're back. We're back together again, and I got to sort of get reintroduced to her life and everything she's doing, and it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild, you know, like where we were then, and then all of a sudden now we're connected on this show, and it's pretty cool.
How autobiographical is it to her life?
Oh, Jeannie?
Yeah.
Oh, it's very loosely based.
Okay, that's what I thought.
There's a lot of Easter eggs that I think if you know the Lakers, you know the inside of, you know, what goes on in basketball, that you would know.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a lot of like players even be like, when you did that thing and that happened, and I'm like, yeah, oh my God, that's real, you know. But it's very loosely based, and Jeannie was very generous in allowing us to just have fun.
Yeah.
And we did.
Yeah.
We had oh my gosh, we have so much fun.
It's so funny, but I also just love everything it has to say about like underestimating people and second chances. Were you looking to do a series when it came to you, or
Oh yeah.
really?
Yeah, I've been looking for a while. I really wanted to do a comedy. I mean, I that was my hope, sort of like trying to put it out there and manifest like I just want to do a really good comedy, because it's so much fun when you have when it's dialed in. You're working with the smartest people, and you are laughing all day long. It's just so much fun, and yeah, I remember getting my agent sent me like the page, that's like, incoming, and it was an offer, and I was excited. I'm like, what is this? And it said Mindy Kaling first, and I was like, bingo. Love an offer from Mindy Kaling. I'm already excited. And then when I saw the description, my whole family dynamic, front office comedy, three brothers. I was like my life. Me and three brothers. I immediately was like, loosely based on Jeannie Best's life. I was like, I'm gonna do that. This is gonna be my first. And I didn't even read it, and I just knew. I had this like weird feeling, and then I read it, and it was so funny and so smart. And I remember seeing Mindy, and I was like, is this the comedy you're gonna make? Like, is this gonna get watered down? Are you showing me the R version of what will end up being the PG version? She's like, nope, this is what we're making. I was like, oh gosh, okay, I'm in. Let's go. And we've had so much fun. It's just been wild, and just a great team, great writing team, and amazing actors, and everybody's so wonderful.
The cast is insane. All your brothers are just
Drew Tarver, Scott MacArthur, and
the women,
that guy
Brenda
Justin.
Song.
Oh, Brenda Song.
Yeah.
Well, first Brenda's Brenda's like the hero of the show. I mean,
she is.
Oh my gosh, and thank God for Brenda, because also, she only has brothers too, so we're very comfortable in rooms filled with men, which is basically what our days are. It's like me and Brenda, and we have these big ponytails, and we just like we're always like we hair swish all day long. We walk. It's like I always say, like, we must be so funny when we walk away from all these boys with our like long swishy hair, And she's so funny, and she's so talented, and a blast, So. But everybody is on the show, and we and also it's a lot of writers that are actors, right? So like everybody shows up with ideas, and having such a collaborative showrunners like Ike and Dave, and Ike obviously Sal Salverstein. Have you seen that?
Give him a shout out.
Yeah. Ike Barinholtz is our showrunner and an actor, and a great writer. And so it's nice to have people who act, who write, because they understand what it's like to be in the moment and something's not working. And so we have 1,000 writers that are also actors that can all write on their feet. And Scott MacArthur, great writer. Drew, one of the great, improv, talk about on your feet, like acting on your feet. He's just the funniest, and does such an amazing job in this, because he walks a great line. He's got so much heart, so much depth, and he's so funny. And Justin Thoreau, amazing writer and actor, and so I got surrounded by like such wonderful people.
I would think one of the problems of doing a show like that is not laughing and ruining takes.
Oh, we ruined so many good takes. We ruined so many good ones. But part of what it is too is sometimes people are so good that you're just trying to ruin their take. When you get to that point where you're like, I'm gonna make him break. I'm gonna make him break. Like the scene, the paintball scene.
Oh.
I can't, you guys, it was so hard. It was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do. Because when that thing hit Scotty's throat and he goes into that thing, I thought I was gonna pee in my pants. I was like, oh my God, I can't, how am I gonna get through this? And then for season 2, Ike called me from the writer's room and he's like, I just want you to know, you are never getting through this scene that I just wrote you. And I was like, oh my God, I can't wait. And I know I'm going to be in that table read and I'm just going to be like, oh my God, there's no way I'm going to get through this.
Did he tell you what it was? Or?
Not yet.
Okay.
I don't know yet. I mean, I know where it's all going, but
Okay.
not that scene. I don't know. So I look forward to it.
I love that. And you're also a producer on the show.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of curious, what you've produced on other projects, but what made you, want to be a part of this one? And what have those creative conversations been like, especially going into a second season?
Well, I think when you're on something like, day to day, signing on to a series and doing this, like Mindy, I think both of us were like, this is something that the hope is to invest many years into. Like, that's my hope. I hope we get to do this for as many years as possible. And if that's the case, then, being on set, being there every day, it's important that, like, for me, that we're a team. And I couldn't have, honestly, I can't even tell you, it sounds like silly. It sounds like, everybody is so amazing and I love it. And Mindy is genius. But like, she is. And Mindy surprised me with her, this is someone who's way more skilled at this than I am. I've never done this. I've never done 30-minute comedy. Understanding the pacing of it is something incredibly, you have to be really good at it in order to be really good at it. Mindy's brilliant at it. And I was excited to learn. I was grateful that she was okay with me being a producer with her. And she was incredibly open-armed about it and wanted to. And she has so much trust in the people that she works with. So the people that she hires, it's the same thing as like what I said about working with great directors. It's like creators, same thing, Mindy. She puts all this trust into her, her writers, and she's there every step of the way. But when it came time to shoot, she really like let us all fly. And I thought that was so wonderful, and trusted Dave and Ike and myself to kind of be there. She was also having a child, which is a whole other thing. And was like having a baby on a Zoom when we were doing the first table read, like had the baby and then like had notes in like in an hour. We're like, wait a minute. Aren't you at Cedars having a baby right now? Like, are we really getting these notes? So she's incredible. But yeah, I mean, it was, I think it's it's been great. It's been important for I think both Mindy and I. We have what we've discovered is that we have a really good marriage when it comes to like what we're trying to achieve, which is, when we get into the creative conversations, like her fast pace, her ability to write like comedy and jokes and get it off its feet fast and get you engaged right away. And then my desire to be like, let's pull back a little bit. Like, let's get more engaged in this character. Like, let's take its time. And her ability to be like, yeah, let's do it. And me to go like, okay, yeah, I need to go quicker. Like we, whether it was on set, whether it was when we were in the writing process and editing. And we were a great team. Yeah. And it was, I've never had that I'm like so grateful because it was so wonderful. I was so happily surprised and learned a lot from her, just her, trust. Yeah. The trust she put up.
Again, when people are open to suggestions, it's a wonderful thing. I don't know why more people aren't.
And I think like you get we're not new to this. Yeah. We've all been doing this. We have a lot of experience, and then. But I think sometimes when people are like that, they can think that they know everything. But instead, we're all the opposite. We're actually interested in learning more about other things. And so there's a sort of humbleness to like, yeah, like, tell me more, show me more. Like, well, what do you think? What do you think? And then you kind of get the best out of everybody. Yeah. It's really been really like wonderful. And
Running Point got such a strong response, like right out of the gate, and it's
so
kind
exciting.
Yeah, and it kind of makes me wonder if people see you, what is it they want to talk about most? Because is it How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days? Is it Running Point right now? Is it weirdos like me who just love Skeleton Key?
Honestly, the show has had, I can't believe what shows what happens when you have a show on television. And literally I walked out like 2 days later of of the house, and it was like people just on the street like, love your show, like love your show. And I'm like, oh my god, oh thanks, like it's almost like you're in their living room, and and they're watching it consistently, and so they feel like it's a different kind of, it's like a much cooler kind of thing, which is like, yeah, binged it last night, see you later. And you're like, oh, thanks, bye. It was really cool. And like what was so fun with this show, which is like you work so hard at something. Justin Thoreau said it best. It's like, God, they put it out in one day, and like you work for months on a show, and the next thing you know, like the next day it comes out, and the next day it's like, saw it last night, and you're like, the whole thing, Yeah, okay, well, but I was shocked at how many people it reached. So it was like teenagers and like grandmas, like middle-aged men to like 14-year-old girls and 14-year-old boys. Like I was just like, wow, everybody was watching it, and that was wild. That was fun to see, and I got some cred with my like 7th grader, which is like really hard. I like walk into school now, and his friends are like, I think that's recorded. It's like, that's Bing's mom. She does the show. You see her show? I'm like, yeah, the kids know.
Have your kids seen many of your movies?
No. I mean, they've seen a couple, but like, I think they see enough of me. They like Skeleton Key.
Yes.
They've seen that. They've seen Almost Famous. Ronnie, I don't want Ronnie to see my movies yet, really. She's too young. It might get weird, she's gonna get too excited. I think she's gonna like that. Then it will really kick off, because she's already like, oh my god, she had her first dance recital, and I was like, my mom just looked at me, she went, well, there it goes. I've never seen a smile like this in my life. She was just there the whole time on stage doing her moves, and she did not lose her, like, it was like a smile. I was like, oh no, oh no. We all know what that is. We're a room full of actors. It's like you just, she's there. So like, I think if she starts to see too many like of mom and grandma, it's over. Like, give her a second, So yeah.
Is an added bonus of doing Running Point, you get free Lakers tickets? Or
I am so lucky. Yes, I do. Not only that, like I like hang with Jeannie, I'm like, and then I go, and I mean, even LeBron like turned, he was like, I got 2 bosses here tonight, and I was like, oh, he just what? And I go, did you see the show? He's like, of course. I was like, oh my God, LeBron's seen the show. That was cool. I've got 2 bosses here tonight. It was like, yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yeah, it was. You see, I'm going like this because that's what it was like. It was like that was really cool, and it's fun. It's fun. Yeah, you can tell like when people see it, they kind of nod like, you're at a Lakers game, and I've seen the show, and yes, I'm not supposed to be here really, but thank you very much. It's fun, and Jeannie's so great, because this, look, this is a show about like a woman running a man's basketball team, and that's her life, and it's been challenging, and it has not been easy for her, and yet she does it in stride, and she is incredibly like strong and powerful, but humble and wonderful, and has a great sense of humor. And if she didn't have a great sense of humor, I'm sure she'd have had some very, very hard times. she's got a like high stakes, you know. We make TV shows, you know. She's that franchise and the family business, and I mean that is really high stakes. And now she got a hit TV show, and how cool is that, you know? And I'm so lucky to be a part of it, and yeah, she's so impressive. Another very, you know, admirable woman.
At the same time, you know she's got to be like, yeah, Kate Hudson's playing me.
Yeah, I also just love I love her whole story. She's so fascinating to me, you know, and she's so good. And like she's had to live a world where like, you know, she makes a move and they try to undermine it with like her being with players or like being with this person, or you know, they constant like easy ways to undermine her, but she just takes it in stride. Like I said, she's just like, just keep going.
Yeah.
And it makes for great comedy. So we got so lucky to be able to, you know, capitalize on that. Yeah.
I love everything about Isla's like wild girl past and her, you know,
Yeah.
pinup shoots with the basketballs and
Yeah.
everything. And how
Jeannie knows a lot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's not ashamed of it, you know. She's just like, well,
no, of course not.
yeah, that happened.
No, I don't think any woman should be ashamed
No.
of making choices they want to make. But I love that, like, again, like that, you know, you do go through these different times in your life, and like the fact that she is still running the team. It's not like she's, you know, she's still in it. The fact that she's like gave us that carte blanche to just go have fun with it, and really she was not, you know, she was like, go, is pretty amazing. It says a lot about her character and how, you know, lucky everyone is at the Lakers organization. Like, to have her as a boss is really cool.
Is there anything you could tell us about season 2 when you start shooting?
I can't, but I'm so excited. You know, Isla's a really, really fun, amazing part to play. You don't get them very often. You don't get parts like that often, you know. And I think that the one thing that's so great about comedy, and I always say this, like, it's if you make it seem effortless, you've succeeded, because it's one of the hardest things to do. And like, doing comedy right is hard, and in terms of like tone, getting it right, and whether it's like again, like the writing and the people, like you can't fake it, because it's either funny or it's not. It's either going to make you laugh or not. It's either going to make you like stay engaged or it's not. And the fact that I got so lucky to work with like such amazing writers that are making the comedy and all of it feel so effortless is really, really amazing. And everybody has worked like so hard. Thank God we all love each other, because it's really long hours, but they work so hard to make it so good, and it's amazing to be a part of that, and to be, you know, to be a part of that whole the whole thing.
Well, if we can't speculate on season 2 of Running Point, can we talk about the Skeleton Key sequel some more? Because they're about due to change, I figure.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it should happen. I am in, you know. I think that would be a fun one, because for those who haven't seen Skeleton Key, I don't want to say anything, but I feel like if we brought my character and Peter's character back, it could get crazy.
Yeah.
We could like do a whole flip on it. Could be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm all for it. Is there any genre or medium that you haven't tackled that you like to, aside from, you know, theater?
Yeah, there's a ton. I mean, but more like directors, like, you know, who've like Wes Anderson. Like isn't that a genre?
Yes.
He's a. I can't wait to see the new movie. Have you seen it?
It's really good.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Yeah. I hear.
Big fan. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what haven't I'd like to do. Maybe a silent movie.
You know that kind of wish those would come back in some ways.
They're very
They're just, like,
cool.
a lot to do with the face.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got an expressive face.
Yes. And great at physical comedy. We see that in Running Point constantly.
I love physical comedy.
Yeah.
It hurts. It's a lot of bruising. I remember going home and I was like, God, Danny was always like, honey, you got this crazy bruise on your leg. And I was like, I looked down, I was like, that's weird. Like, I should call my doctor. Like, why would I have bruises? And then I was like, oh, the drug drawer. I've been hitting that fucking drug drawer in Running Point for like, for weeks.
Yeah.
And lots of bruises in physical comedy. Some whiplash with the window, with the door. I love it. It's fun. I love when you do physical comedy, everyone thinks you're hurt and you're like, yes.
Pulled it off.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see what you do next. I really can't wait for season 2 of Running Point. I want to thank you so much for being here today. And I want to thank you all for being a great audience.
Thank you for being here.